So, as we're all knowing, the percent yield loss due to weeds, notice in different crops, you can see in rice, in direct seeded rice, the loss will be to the extent of 45 to 90%, 45 to 90%. And here in crops like wheat, sorghum, maize, finger millet, cotton, here the critical period of crop weed competition is between say 15 to for 30 or 35 days. So during this period, we have to keep the plots free from weeds. And apart from this here, weed shift is also there. So changes in weed flora, that is composition over time, are referred to as weed shifts. And these weed shifts in weeds are not new. So these are have been happening since long time. As humans have cultivated crops, weedy and invasive species can easily adapt to changes in production practice in order to take advantage of the available niches. Here we can say of the 45,000 plants that have been identified, 40% are alien or introduced. So here you can see tropical America contributed 74% and tropical Africa 11% invasive weeds. So these invasive or alien weeds are much seen in India. So mainly you can see here Lantana camera, Chromalina odorata, Ictornia crassipus, Opuntia, Delaney, like that, and including Parthenium. You know Parthenium history very well. Okay. So here, in order to control weeds, as I mentioned, since 1947, here the weeds are controlled by using herbicides. Herbicides are being used, and these herbicides, yes, used. So some weeds started developing resistance towards the herbicides. Take for example, in case of wheat, Polaris minor is it has developed multiple resistance to the herbicides used. And the most important point here is when we are using herbicides to control weeds, so herbicides are having long persistence in soil. So some herbicides do not undergo degradation, so they retain in soil for longer period. So the length of time that a herbicide remains active in the soil is called persistence or soil residual life. So this is affecting the performance of succeeding crops. So here these herbicides reduces residues in soils are undesirable mainly because they may injure the sensitive crops in the cropping system. Here, this table shows the herbicide families with the potentially persistent members. So, herbicide molecules are used. Take for example, pendimethalin is much used in order to control weeds in many oil seeds and pulses. Okay, and imazethapyr is also used in order to control. This is broad spectrum herbicide, post-emergent, and you are all knowing pendimethalin is pre-emergent herbicide. And here, if you see these group of herbicides, triagens, phenylurea, are having more residual toxicity in soil, and experimental results indicated that these herbicides are having residual effect on the performance of succeeding crops. Take for example, in case of sunflower, so trifluralin 2,4-D, these herbicides are having phytotoxic effect on wheat. In case of maize, atrazine and simazine, as you know, these are very much used. Even these herbicides are used in order to control weeds, but these herbicides are having the residual effect on the performance of succeeding crops. So here cotton, Diron is used, wheat, sorghum, Bengal gram, sorai in rice, oxyfluorophane used, and it is also having residual toxicity on field beans, sorghum on cowpea, that is atrazine. Okay, So in this table, we can see the half-life in soil and water for common herbicides. So you can see here 2,4-D, 2,4-DB, MCPA, dicot, diron. So these are all commonly used herbicides in order to control weeds. So among these, here glyphosate and dicot, these two are used as non-selective contact herbicides. Okay, so just you see their half-life period. So dicot, paraquat you know well, so it is having the half-life period more than 1,000 days. It remains in top 25 millimeter of soil, or we can say top 2.5 centimeter. And glyphosate here you can see 3 to 130 days. So if you see the glyphosate and dicot, these two are used as non-selective contact and selective herbicides respectively, and these are all having residual toxicity in soil. And if you see here, imazethapyr, the imidazolini group of herbicides, say imazethapyr. So here, these are all having the residual toxicity even 3 months, even more than 3 months, up to 6 months, the residual toxicity observed. And here, pendimethalin, as you know, it is used as TOM. So there are two types of formulations are there in pendimethalin. Pendimethalin 30 EC and pendimethalin 38.7 CS, that is capsulated suspension. So when you compare the residual toxicity of these two, uh, pendimethalin 38.7 CS capsulated suspension, this group of herbicides are having more residual toxicity in soil. And simazine, metolachlor, so all these are having the residual toxicity in soil. So here this graph indicates the length of time a herbicide remains active in soil is called soil persistence or soil residual life. So this is the minimum concentration of herbicide is required in order to bring about the herbicidal effect. So here we have to see that beyond this point here if the concentration damage to the succeeding crop. And here the residual toxicity is again very much dependent on soil and climatic conditions. So here soil means climatic conditions, the rainfall pattern mainly rainfall. So rainfall, if the rainfall is low, so these clomazone, dinitronolines, imidazolines, pyrines, so these group of herbicides are having residual toxicity in soil. They remain in soil for longer period. So looking to this here, just I tried in order to know the herbicide imazethapyr effect on succeeding crop. So the chemical name you know well, 2,4,5-dioxy-4-methyl 4,5-oxodimazole, and the mode of action you know well, this is acetolactate synthase enzyme. This is responsible for the synthesis of 3 branched chain amino acids like isoleucine, leucine and valine. And this particular post-emergent herbicide is having a broad spectrum. It controls both broad leaves and monocots and dicots and sedges also. And there are some weeds which have developed resistance towards the use of certain group of herbicides. Take for example Digeria arvensis, found we can say very much it is I mean this particular weed developed resistance towards many group of herbicides, but this could be controlled by this imazethapyr. And here pendimethalin 30 EC, so this could not control the Digeria arvensis. So like this, so this particular molecule is having very good effect, but at the same time this herbicide found having a residual effect on soil also. So here in order to know the residual toxicity of post and pre-emergent herbicides, so the trial was initiated in order to know imazethapyr. These are 4 groups of herbicides used post-emergent compared with pre-emergent. So among post-emergent, this imazethapyr, it is having very good weed control with higher seed yield. However, at higher concentration, it is observed that imazethapyr is having adverse effects. So in order to know the imazethapyr residual toxicity in soil, again the research continued as part of postgraduate studies, and the work was carried out by Kiran Emignor, my PG student, who worked on this particular aspect, imazethapyr 10% SL in soybean and its residual effect on germination and establishment of succeeding crop. So treatment details. So succeeding crops screened were wheat, sorghum, safflower and chickpea. And here in this table you can see imazethapyr tried in 4 concentrations 7500, 125, 50 and compared with the recommended post and pre-emergent herbicides chlorimiron and pendimethalin. So here imazethapyr at 100 grams proved effective in controlling weeds. However, 75 grams A per hectare it is not found that much effective against weeds. And imazethapyr at higher concentration has increased, the found the residual toxicity and also affected the performance of soybean. So in this table you can see higher weed control efficiency observed with higher concentration of imazethapyr, but found residual phytotoxic effect on crop itself. So here you can see the picture. So imazethapyr 100 gram per hectare in soybean, it is applied at 25 days old. So you can see the drying of leaves, but when the concentration increased to 150, so phytotoxicity crop itself. So on succeeding crops, so as I mentioned, wheat, sorghum, and chickpea, safflower, these crops were screened in order to know the residual effect of imazethapyr. So here the germination percentage was worked out. So no doubt in the initial stage the wheat and sorghum germinated well, but in later stage here wheat and sorghum, these two crops were very much affected. 0 to 9% scale was used in order to score the, and here you can see wheat and sorghum phytotoxicity rating, it is more observed in comparison to safflower, chickpea. And this is the general view of rabi crops. You can see residual toxicity on succeeding crop. So on sorghum it is more intense. Here see complete damage caused to sorghum emergence. And yes, this is weed free check. No herbicide was used. So imazethapyr, you can see on wheat again drying of leaves, it starts from tip, and on wheat complete damage caused to wheat. So this is weed free check. And on chickpea and safflower, no much toxicity was observed. So here based this in the similar line, Shilpa, one more PhD student from our university, worked on under the guidance of Maligwad, Dr. Maligwad, and she also reported the similar findings. Okay, and they also screened different crops. Grain amaranth susceptibility was more, so followed by sorghum, wheat, maize, safflower, and chickpea least. So in the same way, here in 2022 also the use of herbicides also found effect on the performance of uh, the succeeding crop, and even it has affected the crop performance itself. So hand weeding at 25 and 45 days after sowing, here you can see higher grain yield and no phytotoxic effect. Yes. Yes, in this nodules per plant, that is the rhizobium population, just you compare the figure of a hand weeding with these herbicide treated plots. So rhizobium rhizobium population in fact reduced in herbicide treated plots. And here herbicides and insecticides, these are much used since 1990. Here you can see 2015. So the steady increase with respect to herbicides and pesticide use. However, glyphosate, glyphosate use, it it has increased very in very I mean very steep, and it now it is causing more damage. And here you can see the depiction of glyphosate flows in the agricultural production chain. So atrazine, and here also these are found phytotoxic effect on the microbial load. Similarly, 2,4-D and 2,4-dicot glyphosate also observed. So in this particular major uses of pesticides, so just in the previous month, second 2023, some herbicides banned the list. So the herbicides restricted for use in India are dazomate, methyl bromide, trifluralin, and these herbicides are withdrawn from the list for use in India. Dalapon, Simazin, Sermat. So Simazin is very much used, atrazine and Simazin, trizine group of herbicides. And these herbicides are also banned by Government of India for manufacturing, import and use of the application, this group. So this study what I shown. So this is use of herbicides. So herbicide use in due course of time, it may affect the performance of succeeding crop. So in this direction, here we have to go for use of some uh, organic means of weed management. So organic means of weed management, I will not go in detail because everybody knows what is hand weeding, intercultivation. So all these practices you know well. Okay, so my point is here, why we have to go for organic means of weed management nowadays. And Government of India is also focusing on encouraging organic farming and natural farming. So looking to the bad effects of chemicals used in agriculture, including fertilizers. So these are the common weed flora found in our college. So I will not go in detail. So just I pass the slides here. So almost all these weeds are also found in your place also. So one more thing, this particular weed is very much seen in dry regions, particularly dry regions. So in Karnataka, in dry parts of Karnataka, this and Chrosophora, Chrosophora rutleri. So these two weeds are very much seen, but when you use herbicides, these two weeds are not at all controlled, not at all. No effect of herbicides on these weeds. Okay. Management options is concerned, preventive measures and curative measures. So mechanical, cultural, biological means of weed management you know well anyway. So prevention is better than always cure. So in that line, so in organic means of weed management, stale seed bed preparation is most important. Stale seed bed preparation. So I think stale seed bed preparation means you know well. So well before sowing operation, just to you give one irrigation and allow the weeds to flush. So soon after that, what we have to go? We have to go for some blind hoeing. So blind hoeing is most important in order to uh, kill the weeds before sowing or planting of plants. So this is tail seed bed preparation. So here you can see the germinating weeds, and some seeds are going to be protected. They are called as depth protected weeds. Depth protected weeds. So here this is most important. So most of the weeds cannot be controlled if they are at a deeper depth. So in this condition here we have to go for deep plowing also. And here as I mentioned, pre-sowing, that is a stale seed bed preparation is better, wherein we can control major weeds. So major weeds. Okay, so coming to preventive measures, again use of free crop seeds, you know well, I will not go in detail what is, and use of well decomposed organic matter. So the organic matter is another source of we can say weed menace. So well decomposed or rotten organic matter needs to be used, and use of clean farm equipments and farm animals. I will not, and use of clean irrigation channels. So wild flooding, well. So seeds, weed seeds transport from one field to another field. So in that event, drip or sprinkler method of irrigation. But so these are all very basic information. And use of clean fallow land and bunds, and transport of sand and soil should be restricted from. And weed control in the nurseries, while we are transplanting the plants from main nursery to the main field. So while uprooting, we have to take care. So along with the plants, the weed plant should not be transported. And plant, we have to follow strict quarantine measure. So that's what we in fact, because of lack of proper quarantine measures, well, Parthenium seeds introduced to India along with wheat, what we imported during 1950s. And coming to curative methods here, eradication method, that is destroying the species at initial stage of introduction before it produces propagule. So here, this is another important point. So deep digging, or we can say summer plowing operation, is normally carried out in order to take out the weeds which are propagating by rhizomes or stolons. And hand weeding, spudding, digging. So dredging and chaining, well, this is carried out in order to remove the weeds in aquatic ecosystem. So these are some photos. No need to give any explanation because well. And coming to the tillage operation is another important point. So minimum or reduced tillage, again it increases the weed menace, especially annual weeds in summer. So annual weeds menace is more during summer because of this tillage operation. So zero tillage or reduced tillage increases the weed menace. And zero tillage, conservation tillage is always better, but here in conservation tillage, so the main problem with the conservation tillage is maintaining the residue on the surface of the soil. And field preparation, summer tillage, I will not go in details, dredging and chaining, keeling. So keeling, well, this subsurface soil is loosened here. And burning and flame weeders, actually these are how they have included in organic means of weed management, I don't know, because here in my view flames are burns when we carry out, part of organic matter is also burnt. So here I think it should not be used in my view. And cultural methods, time of sowing, uh, maintaining proper time of sowing. So delayed sowing, it affects the emergence of weeds. And interculturing operation, so no need to tell about this. Then crop rotation in order to overcome the problem of weeds, especially problematic weeds like striga in case of sorghum, or arabanca in case of tobacco. So crop rotation is must, but farmers are not at all going for, even in spite of our instructions also, they are not ready to listen and adopt the crop rotation practices. So this is the main problem with cultural means of weed management. And crops species and variety, here the crops which are having, they produce more biomass and spread quickly, such species should be selected in order to control weeds. So they are having smothering effect on weeds. And method of sowing, as line sowing is always better, wherein intercultural operations can be carried out instead of broadcasting. And quick growing dense crop canopy farming crop should be selected, like cowpea, soybean, green gram, like that. Okay, combination early sowing. So crop rotation, anyway, just I told. So everybody knows mulching is always better, but practice itself is very cumbersome and it involves even more labor also. So main cultural means of weed management is involvement of more labor. So that is a major problem or lacuna with cultural means of weed management. So even plastic mulching is also considered in the organic farming, wherein the soil temperature is increased to 10 to 12 degrees centigrade, wherein the greenhouse effect that is also ensured here in order, so which kills the germinating weed seeds. And intercropping also is sorted, in sugar crops like sugarcane, green gram, black gram. So dense canopy farming crops can be used in order to smother the weeds. So trap and catch crops, as I mentioned, in case of sorghum, in order to control striga. So trap crops like cotton, sunflower, these are used, which induce the germination of striga. And irrigation scheduling, as I mentioned, drip or sprinkler method of irrigation always better than. Then solarization technique is also used, considered under organic farming, wherein the soil temperature is used using, but the disposal of polythene sheet is a major concern. So, so I don't know whether it is considered or not. Yes. Yes. Soil solarization. Then biological means of weed management also, well, because bioagents are used, disease causing organisms, even insects are also used. So in case of Parthenium, Zygogramma bicolorata. So but the problem or lacuna with biological means of weed management is change in race, change in race. So that is a major problem in biological means of weed management. So the story of Zygogramma bicolorata, when it was released to control Parthenium, it has changed its food habit. So that is the main problem with biological means of weed management. So change in race is another problem. So these are the points we have to take into consideration. And apart from this here, so these are the some photographs showing the bioagents used in order to control weeds. So Divine and Collegio, these two are products used in order to control weeds, commercially available. And allelopathy property is also exploited in order to control weeds. Here, Parthenium incorporated in soil, it reduces the growth of cyanidon dactylon, but it is in long run, I don't know. In our case, Parthenium, cyanidon dactylon, and Parthenium, these together grow. So allopathic potential of some crops are also observed with these crops, weeds. And allelopathy here, utilizing the companion crop, here it is having the property of secreting the phytochemical. So phytochemical is most important, that reduces the germination or growth of other crop. So there are some research studies here. As I mentioned, stale seed bed and mulching, these two are found effective in with respect to the weed control efficiency is concerned. So also with the solarization, hand weeding is also effective, but the cost involvement is not cost effective. And effect of non-chemical weed management, yield parameters also noticed in. So again the same treatment has given good yield. So this is another mechanical weeding and two-hand weeding with intercropping meshing. So like this here, these practices are used in order to control. But the main problem with the organic means of weed management is it is not sustainable. That is a problem, and not result oriented. Non-chemical here, economics wise also stale seed bed is proved effect better over this mulching. Sorry, mulching and with respect to other treatments under study. And in our university, phyto extracts are also now being tried. Okay, so here the treatment details given. Prosopis juliflora, well, this is introduced to India in order to control the soil erosion. So now this has become major weed. So in almost all soils it is seen, and followed by Parthenium is also troublesome weed. Okay, Cassia serratia is also weed and lantana camera. But here, so we have gone for the extraction of these leaves. So and these extract used in order to control and the different alkaloids and phenolics present in phytoextracts based on reviews. Here you can see Parthenium hysterophorus is having more number of alkaloids compared to Prosopagita or Lantana camara or Cassia serratia. So here we can say looking to these alkaloids, here Parthenium hysterophorus can be very well exploited in order to control weeds. But the only problem with this organic means or use of these extracts is the identification of phytochemical is most important. Similarly, in case of Ayurvedic system of medication, you know, well, the bark is prescribed or a leaf portion is prescribed. So, in that, which ingredient is responsible for that particular disease or ailment is not known. In the same manner, in agriculture also, here the phytochemical identification is most important. Which gradient is responsible for the herbicidal property and other thing. So, similarly, here we have to focus on the identification of the phytochemical responsible for that particular herbicidal property. So here chemical analysis of 4 phytoextracts, here it is given Parthenin, Parthenium, Prosopis juriflora, Lantana camara and Cassia serratia. So these are the parameters considered in order to know whether they are detected or not detected in that particular leaf extract. So here when these extracts were used, foliar spray of Parthenium hysterophorus at 30% leaf extract at pre-emergence 20 and 40 days after sowing proved effective in controlling weeds compared to other weeds, Prosopis juliflora, Cassia serratia and Lantana camara. See here, this is also having higher weed control efficiency and lower weed index in comparison to other treatments. So here with this I can conclude that chemical means of weed management, no doubt we can get the results, but at the same time these chemicals are leading to another problem, that is phytotoxic, residual toxicity is there. So in due course of time some weeds may develop resistance, we do not, so such weeds cannot be controlled. Take for example alachlor, in fact used in our this one Commelina bengalensis. So in due course of time here, when you use these chemicals indiscriminately, so one fine day no chemicals will found effective, and this way this will lead to the soil health problem. So with this, just I will conclude that here chemical means of weed management is result oriented. However, organic means of weed management requires more this one concern with respect to the identification and standardization of the phytochemical responsible for the herbicidal property. So with this I will finish my presentation.
So thank you, Dr. Hosmath, for your crisp and precise presentation emphasizing the need of organic human health. So
Yes.
that is that. So sustainable agriculture and health are the need of the hour.
Yes, sir.
So nowadays what we do emphasis is that we need to leave the world for the next generation to live in and enjoy as we have done. So that is the more emphasis. So the other generations which are to come up should be also enjoying all the aspects which we are now doing. So that thing. So the curative method, when you have discussed actually the deep digging or deep ploughing. So this has been also tried in our hospital, and which seems to be a very promising one. And nowadays the availability of a reversible moldboard plough.
Yes, sir.
With a tractor, it's a very good results which we have observed. So because it goes beyond 2 feet and then completely inverts the soil.
Yes, sir.
So once in 2 or 3 years, so nowadays even though disc plough is not there, the reversible mold plough seems to be a promising one.
Definitely.
As far the weed menace is concerned.
Right, sir.
So very good and then inversion and the clods are also completely
crushed.
uprooted, and then the subsoil is being lifted to, naturally the seed bank, wheat seed bank seems to be less
Right, sir.
when we were going for the curative method. And the major problem is with the undecomposed manure. So
That's a
majorly,
major source, sir.
major source is that.
Source of weed manure.
Because we do to add farmyard manure.
Yes.
So actually first step is that in agronomy, whatever they would add 12.5 tons of farmyard manure. It should be changed to enriched farmyard manure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that
You are
the
right,
quantity can
exactly.
be also minimized, and wherein all the weed seeds and the pathogens will be completely controlled.
Control, yes.
So that should be a priority. Do you have any idea about nanotechnology in this aspect, sir?
Nanotechnology as such, I don't have any information, but the thing is, I can say in your university, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Chinnamuthu is working on encapsulation of
Yes, sir.
herbicide molecules. That is good work
And specifically
actually.
for cyanidon.
Yes, cyanidon. And in fact, I have gone through his one of his students' thesis, Shweta, submitted, and there I could find encapsulation of herbicide molecules. Really, that works well. If it is, encapsulation of all herbicides, then the release of herbicides will be slow, first point, and not much phytotoxicity of, effect is also observed on the succeeding crop. So that work needs to be focused more on.
Okay, so that will be the of the future. Nanotechnology
Yes,
will be a long
nanotechnology
way.
definitely it will have some effect on this one, but we don't know whether in long run whether it works or not. And most important thing is the cost involvement is quite high.
Yeah.
So economically whether it is viable or not, that is a
That
major
will be
question. Yes.
Economical aspect.
Yes, economical
Okay,
aspect
sir.
is most important.
And then that was interesting, sir. Leaf extracts of Parthenium,
That's
Prosopis,
what.
and then Lantana camara, and all the invaded weeds.
Yes,
and
sir.
then Parthenium actually it seems to be very good. We can also have some trials on that. That seems to be a very attractive.
Because anyway that is weed.
Yeah. That
Somehow
can be
we have
also.
to make use of that weed in productive way by extracting the leaf, leaf extract, and we are seeing different. It is containing more number of alkaloids, and so that may have. So that's what I'm stressing. Identification of phytochemical is most important.
Most important.
Yes.
So nowadays HPLC and other results are so when we can
that could be tried.
we can very good identify the chemicals.
Yes, sir, definitely. In comparison, just like how my herbicide molecule is effective against that particular weed, in the same manner, if you identify and extract the phytochemical in the leaf of any plant or even bark, stem region, so that will really helpful.
Thank you very much, sir, for your nice presentation. Actually, organic farming is concerned. We are moving to preventive methods than the curative methods.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah, that only gives the fruitful results under organic farming.
Right, sir. Right.
But nowadays, after long struggle and long dissemination technologies through various means of extension, functionaries, now only farmers, they are started using herbicides in wider scale.
Definitely, sir.
In that also,
so no one is going for using, this deep digging and prevention. And so the major thing while weeding, sir, so we should go for this destruction of plants well before they flower and set the seeds. That is the major thing. So none of the farmers are going for controlling weeds. So seed bank, if you reduce the seed bank, that itself will become very good, this one. But many farmers, as you mentioned, nobody is interested, everybody is going for weedicide usage. All are very much after herbicide.
That imacetibur, that is widely used for sure.
Yes, sir.
Is being a broad spectrum herbicides being utilized for all the crops.
Yes, sir.
So the usage is getting increased, but we are recommending very safe dosage only. But even then, if the control is not, found effective, the farmers themselves, they will increase some quantity
That is the main
above
major
the
problem with the farmers.
recommended dose.
Yes, sir.
That will again leads to the persistence of the herbicides in the soil.
Sure, sir. Sure.
But in God's grace or in safer side, we didn't receive any phytotoxical effect in the follow-up crops with these huge amount of usage of herbicides.
Okay.
If it is the problem is existed, then then after that only the real problem will appear. So under that conditions, your organic farming and management of weeds, it is the main criteria in the organic.
Yes, sir.
Weed menace is the very and that too with the conservation agriculture.
Yes, sir.
The weed management is the very big alarming problem to the farmers.
Farmers.
So the stale seed bed preparation is one of the
So that
promising.
is, but no one is
Yeah.
going for that. That is a major problem with
Since
all
the
farmers.
cost involved,
Yes.
the repeated ploughing and we are nowadays we are using very huge machineries
Yes, sir.
and repeated ploughing that will increase the cost of cultivation. So that
Definitely.
they are reluctant to use that one. Or otherwise, very simple and very useful technique is
Slashing and
yeah,
mowing before this flower and
removal
such.
of plants
Yes.
before flowering.
Flowering. Yes.
Any weeds, removal of weed plants
Yes.
before flowering is the very promising
Actually,
one. Yeah.
no farmer is going for that. That is a problem, sir. So if you control the weeds at that stage, then seed bank
Yeah,
and
that
soil
will get
can be,
minimized.
yes, minimized. So, but farmers, no, they are, as you mentioned, they are very much after herbicides only. And in organic farm, we are stressing more, using more and more of organic manures. But all are going for again fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, urea and DAP. So farmers thinking should change first.
So the mindsets of farmers has
Yeah.
to be changed. Okay, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
for your
Right, sir.
valuable points. Is there anybody from online? Hello, sir. Am I audible to all? Yes, anybody want to clarify? So you can interact. Now it is open for interaction. You can interact.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Tell me.
Dr. Harisudan சொல்லுங்க audible.
Sir, thank you
Hello.
for your good presentation, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I am from Delta area, sir. Sir, is it audible?
Voice is splitting. Yes, it's audible.
Sir, earlier our farmers cropping system was rice followed by pulses, sir.
Rice.
Followed by pulses, sir.
Yes.
And nowadays, because of lack of water, rice followed by pulses, it has been dropped to rice followed by pulses. And there is a big problem. There is a big problem with pulses. Nowadays, the earlier the Calcutta was running for a bushy crop
Hello.
or Sir, am I audible?
Not audible, sir.
So you have it.
So voice breaks in between.
Harisudan,
Sir,
sir, your voice is breaking. You please close to your mic.
Sir, actually, the Calcutta is a big menace in the Delta area, sir.
Okay.
Now it is audible.
With regard to the pulses, sir.
Huh.
Though we have a herbicide that is insecticide, we are recommending for it. Is there any complete package to eradicate this perennial weed, sir? I mean, with organic method or in
Only crop rotation, sir. But
Okay, sir.
farmers are not at all going for it. So in sugarcane growing areas in our place, we recommended use instead of going for sugarcane after sugarcane. So we ask them to go for cotton. So farmers are not listening because cotton is not remunerative as that of sugarcane. So crop rotation is the only option here.
No, the crop rotation is not possible because, sir, in delta areas, rice followed by pulses is the only cropping system, sir.
Is followed by pulses.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, he is from a delta areas.
Okay, okay.
Tanjavur, Nagapattinam,
Tanjaro, in that area.
Kaveri delta area.
Kaveri.
In that area, usually the farmers will go for rice followed by pulse.
Pulse, okay.
In pulse, after completing rice in pulse crop, they are facing the problem of
Kaskuta, yes sir.
as a menace.
Oh.
If there is any recommendation is that, it's asking.
So as such, in this system, I don't know, sir, because this type of cropping system is not existing in our area. I don't know. Actually, in case of Striga and Orabanke, we are going for crop rotation. So using cotton and sunflower. As such, I don't know much more about Kaskuta. Kaskuta is not that problematic in our region, sir.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have gone through literature
Sir.
wherein it has been recorded that pulses as intercrop with the cluster bean, it has effect on reducing the incidence of cluster, sir. Black gram plus cluster bean.
Black gram and cluster bean, sir. So
It has some suppressing effect over the cluster, sir.
suppressing effect on Kaskuta. Okay, sir. Good information.
Is there
Thanks,
any
sir.
other solution for this, sir? Because it is the farmers are very pandemic because of this cluster. The whole field has been suppressed by this cluster, sir, nowadays.
Sir, it is really challenging to the scientist.
Yes,
So actually, as such, no package or we can say the solution is worked out so far. So there is the major challenge before to the scientist, especially Striga management, Kaskuta management. So as such, I don't have any information.
Actually, Harisudan.
sir.
Harisudan. Actually, the Kaskuta is effectively controlled by, removal only. Hand removal.
Hand
only
removal.
Can be at the early stages. It will be controlled, or the season is permits, or you can go for even burning also. That also recommended for a physical method, but it should not be affect the soil or soil flora and fauna.
To some extent, pendimethalin tried, sir, but no encouraging results observed in our area.
That also tried by Karnataka. Sir says that that also is not given a proven results. So the preventive methods are
Better always.
than the any spraying or pesticide application.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for your brief presentation.